Across the world, massive stone walls rise from the ground, built with blocks so large we couldn't move them today. The Incas said they didn't build them. The Greeks called them Cyclopean because only giants could have done it. But these ruins are real, and they follow the same impossible pattern across continents and civilizations that never met. Who built them? And why does history pretend not to know? At the heart of Peru, the fortress of Sacsayhuaman looms with stones so massive, some weigh over 100 tons, and yet they fit together like puzzle pieces. In Italy, the polygonal walls of Alatri echo the same technique, using irregular blocks locked without mortar. These stones resist time, weather, and even earthquakes. Travel to Baalbek, Lebanon, and you'll find the Trilithon. 3 stones, each over 800 tons, forming part of a platform that predates the Roman temples built above. No one truly knows who moved them or how. In Turkey, the Hittite capital Hattusa holds fortifications made of similarly immense blocks, carefully fitted together without modern tools. In Japan, the walls of the imperial palace in Osaka show similar construction traits. In Greece, Mycenaean ruins still stand with their giant Cyclopean walls. Even on Easter Island, massive platforms made to hold the Moai statues show familiar masonry. These constructions appear on different continents, with no known contact between the cultures that built or inherited them. And curiously, they all seem to share the same traits: Cyclopean scale, seismic resistance, and the absence of inscriptions. So why do official timelines credit them to civilizations that clearly couldn't have created them? Who really built these walls? And what was their true purpose? The Incas were clear. They didn't build Sacsayhuaman, they found it. And so did others. The Greeks referred to the style as Cyclopean because they believed only giants, Cyclopes, could have moved such stones. In Polynesia, oral traditions speak of long-gone builders of stone who came from the stars and vanished without explanation. The Rapa Nui people claim the Moai statues were walked into place by power no longer understood. In the Middle East, early legends describe semi-divine beings, like the Nephilim, responsible for great cities and fortresses lost to time. Even in the Andes, tales mention a race of pale-skinned, red-haired architects who lived before the Great Flood and passed on knowledge to later cultures. In India, ancient texts describe Azura fortresses built of enormous stones. In Africa, the ruins of Great Zimbabwe have been attributed to earlier cultures, whose names have been lost. And in Ireland, megalithic tombs like Newgrange are aligned with solar phenomena, constructed with skill far beyond the Neolithic period. These stories don't align by chance. They echo across the world. Could all these myths be fractured memories of the same lost people? A culture that spanned oceans, long before history admits it was possible? Modern engineers still debate how these structures were built. The stones were not just large. They were shaped with irregular angles, locking together in seismic-resistant configurations. Yet there's no sign of how they were carved. No tool marks. No quarries nearby. No ramps. No wheels. Some stones seem to have been melted into shape or softened in ways that leave no explanation. In Baalbek, even modern cranes couldn't lift the Trilithon blocks without cutting-edge machinery. In Peru, the zigzag walls at Sacsayhuaman have withstood centuries of earthquakes without shifting a single stone. Engineers marvel at how these stones were set in place with such precision that not even a razor blade can fit between them. Why would cultures without writing, without wheels or iron tools, go to such lengths to move and shape impossible stones? And unlike other ancient wonders, these sites lack decorative reliefs or written explanations, just raw, silent stone. It's as if they weren't meant to be understood, only endured. If we can't replicate it today, how did they do it back then? Some researchers believe these sites weren't isolated miracles, but remnants of a single lost civilization that existed before known history. A culture with knowledge of seismic engineering, stonework, and global presence. One that may have been wiped out by a cataclysm, leaving behind only ruins that later peoples inherited and adapted. Many connect this with the end of the Younger Dryas, a sudden climate shift around 11,600 years ago. Could this mysterious culture have seeded early civilization in Egypt, the Andes, and Mesopotamia? Was it the source of the world's flood myths, sky gods, and megalithic traditions? But mainstream archaeology refuses to connect these dots. Why? because acknowledging this would require rewriting the timeline of civilization itself. It would mean that human history isn't a steady climb, but a cycle of rise, destruction, and forgotten greatness. If true, what other truths still lie buried beneath stone and soil? And how much longer can they be ignored? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you want to keep digging deeper into the mysteries they'd rather keep buried, subscribe, like, and join us in the next discovery.